Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this. So SEC versus Ripple. The SEC Gov has requested that the deadline for filing its principal brief be January 15th, 2025. You know, they're trying to push this into next year. But Jeremy Hogan said this: it would be a true shame if the SEC slaves over and finishes the most awesome brief ever written on January 15th, only to have the SEC chair changed by the new president on Inauguration Day, January 20th, and the whole appeal get dropped. That would suck. So maybe the SEC delaying this is not going to play in their favor after all. And I do believe Gary Gensler's days are numbered at the SEC. Consensus appeals for pro-Web3 regulation in open letter to future U.S. president. So they wrote this to the next president. The industry committed to advancing progress, accountability, and equitable access should be protected and nurtured by its governing bodies. So Consensus wrote a letter ahead of the next president coming into office next year. And all they want is a clear path forward for crypto. Coinbase files dual FOIA request demanding transparency on U.S. crypto crackdown. This comes from Blue Hawk Legend. So on Monday, Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal announced that the exchange is ramping up its legal efforts in the ongoing battle with U.S. regulators by filing 2 new sets of Freedom of Information Act requests. They said, in short, as long as the government will not relent, neither will Coinbase. Coinbase, again, they just want a clear path forward. Imagine having a company and you're trying to push ahead. You're trying to expand here in the United States. And every time you think about expanding your company, in the back of your mind, you know you might have problems with the SEC going forward. That needs to change. That should not be happening in the United States. On page 17 of its new digital payment report, the Bank of Russia added a diagram showing cross-border money transfers in the Ripple system. You see it right here. And in the middle is XRP. And people still think that the Brics are going to utilize Bitcoin. I see it in the comment section on a lot of my videos. The Brics are not going to choose to use Bitcoin. They are going to utilize XRP. Why? Every single Brics country already has Ripple rails inside. I pointed it out time and time again. The countries that are joining the Brics or wanting to join the Brics also have Ripple rails inside. But beyond that, this is why the Brics won't use Bitcoin. Take a listen.
Faster networks, right, which will allow us to actually instantly send transactions. What happens if we have instant transaction settlement across all the network nodes, right? What happens if that happens? You know what I mean?
That can't be done by changing something underneath Bitcoin. That can only be done by changing.
That is what's underneath, is the actual physical layers, right? That's like,
you
for
change
example,
those and Bitcoin stays the same. The Bitcoin algorithm specifically compensates.
Yes, the algorithm stays the same, just like TCP/IP does, right? But all of a sudden, because of a lot of equipment, the physical equipment, everything becomes faster. Bitcoin becomes faster. That's the same.
If you change all that underneath, right? Bitcoin still does 7 transactions a second and still a block every 10 minutes. In order to change those, you've got to change the parameters of Bitcoin itself, not the underlying. If I suddenly get a miner that can mine 10 times as many blocks a second, that doesn't change the speed of Bitcoin. We've seen that already, right? Bitcoin miners are now faster than they ever were, and that doesn't change, right? Bitcoin is designed to keep the block time constant, and hence the number of transactions per second constant. The only way of changing those is by changing the actual parameters of Bitcoin itself. You can't do that by changing an underlying layer. We've seen that over time. Otherwise, Bitcoin would now be 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times faster than it was, because we've got ASICs running instead of, my desktop CPU running as it was, back in the day when I used to mine, right? Changing the underlying hardware doesn't change the speed or capabilities of Bitcoin.
So now 7 transactions per second. So China's sending money to Russia, and Russia's sending money to China, and China's sending money to India. And all these new countries that are joining the BRICS, they're transacting as well. How the hell would they ever use something like Bitcoin? Plus, think about the cost that's tied to Bitcoin in the transactions also. This is why Bitcoin is never going to be utilized inside any country for payments. It's just not going to happen. People want fast, cheap, and secure. They don't want slow, expensive, and outdated. They want something better. The only path forward for Bitcoin is to become tokenized on the XRP ledger, or to be transacting over the XRP ledger or another network. Every single network today is better than Bitcoin's network. Just in the latest SEC filing, Microsoft disclosed that assessment of investing in Bitcoin has been proposed as a voting item for the December 10th shareholder meeting. However, the filing notes that the board recommends voting against this proposal, because no board is ever going to approve the purchase of Bitcoin. Even BlackRock, their board is most likely elites of the world, sit on the board at BlackRock. BlackRock is not investing in Bitcoin. They're not buying Bitcoin. Their customers are buying Bitcoin. BlackRock has no skin in the game. And I try to stress that to people. What about the ETF? BlackRock's buying up all this Bitcoin. No, that's customer money tied up in Bitcoin. Like I said, I don't hate Bitcoin. I just don't see the need to want to buy Bitcoin. Think about it like this. Even as we go forward, anyone holding Bitcoin, if they can't transact in it without it being expensive and slow, they're going to get bored with it. They're going to eventually sell it off and buy something that they can utilize on a daily basis. Imagine going to the store and you're going to transact using Bitcoin. So now you're holding up the line, and the transaction is very expensive to begin with. Finally, the transaction goes through. Everybody in line's pissed off because you've been holding up the line for the last 10 minutes. When you could walk in and use something like XRP, in a matter of seconds, the transaction is done. It costs a fraction of a penny, and you're on your way. That's what people want going forward. Even hardcore gold bugs can't deny XRP. Take a listen to this.
I know that obviously you're a gold guy, but you look at some of the crypto opportunities out there, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, something like a Stellar or an XRP, Chainlink, some of these that are starting to integrate with the banking system. Is there any that you would say, oh, this might be interesting to watch?
I mean, I own a little bit of Bitcoin only because I didn't want to say, why didn't I own it? But I am a hard asset guy, to your point, and it's hard for me to let my mind go to a place where I can't hold it. But I do really, really recognize the potential in XRP. In looking at the way that it's constructed, in looking at the contracts that have already been signed, and looking at that flow chart that you just showed, it's unquestionable that once all this nonsense with the SEC is behind them, in my opinion, it offers amazing potential because it's going to be integrated into the system.
It's going to be integrated into the system. Ripple went out there. They set up all the rails all around the world. Partners of Ripple put rails in place all around the world. It is going to be integrated in the system, and it's going to be utilized on a daily basis for cross-border payments. And because XRP is cheap right now, people get frustrated and they end up selling it. Later, they are going to regret that for the rest of their lives, because all of a sudden XRP is going to take off one day. And when it does, it's going to leave so many people behind. Estimates suggest tokenization could reach $10 trillion by 2030, and crypto exchanges must evolve for the digital asset economy. Ripple knows tokenization is going to be massive, and now they're coming up with solutions for exchanges, but they're also coming up with cheaper ways to custody your assets, but they're also going to trim the cost of compliance. Digital asset management can be complicated, and crypto exchanges must often navigate policies and regulations across multiple fast-changing markets and jurisdictions. Even the largest institutions can struggle to keep pace with evolving rules around digital asset custody and cross-border payments. Ripple's expertise in digital asset regulation helps crypto exchanges minimize these challenges. Ripple solutions are designed to be fully compliant with international Know Your Customer (KYC), counter-financing of terrorism (CFT), and anti-money laundering (AML) regulations, reducing the burden on exchanges to manage complex compliance requirements. Now, what I think is going to happen, and I said this in multiple videos, we are going to have global regulations, because if you don't, cross-border payments will never work. You think about sending a payment from one country to another, but you got to cross multiple countries to get that payment through. You cannot have different regulations going from country to country. Every single country, in my opinion, is going to have very similar regulations. We're going to have global stablecoin regulations, global crypto regulations. That's what makes sense going forward. Sweden and Denmark to initiate real-time cross-currency settlement via target instant payments. Ripple has rails in both Sweden and Denmark. I'll show you in a minute. This service will allow instant payments originating in one tip's currency to be settled in another tip's currency and in central bank money. And you see it right here. Ripple partner Neum has expanded its local funding and collection capabilities to over 40 countries and 15 countries. Why did they say it like that? I don't know. But you see, Brazil, Denmark, UAE, Poland, and more. Boom, Sweden. Ripple continues European expansion, bringing the benefits of on-demand liquidity to France and Sweden. Breaking, XRP ETF is live on NASDAQ Stock Exchange in Sweden. So most likely, now that they're going towards real-time payments, real-time settlement, Ripple rails are mostly going to be involved there as well, because the rails have been set up years ago. And as time goes on, every single country is going to be tied to Ripple somehow, some way. Wealth management undergoing a significant transformation, wealth transformation. So here's the key factors: shifting customer demographics, the rise of millennials and Gen Z as significant market segments, evolving customer needs, growing demand for hyper-personalized services, technology advancements, integration of cloud computing, blockchain, and AI. Emerging business models, banking as a service, financial super apps, and embedded finance. Progressive regulations, implementation of open banking and financial initiatives. Changing competitive landscape. Rapid entry of fintech players, creating both challenges and opportunities for incumbent wealth and asset management firms. So right now what's going on is everyone wants to push towards technology, because this is where the money is. Everything's changing. We are going into digital payments, digital currency, tokenization, and everyone wants to capitalize on that. And they already know the target demographics, millennials and Gen Z. But beyond that, they're also going to offer older bank customers options as well, because everybody knows that at the bank, there's no ways to make money at the bank. You know, you put your money in a checking account, you're not going to get rich. In a savings account, you're not going to get rich. But what if the bank had a way that you could make a lot of money off of your money? They could easily steer you towards crypto. And as regulations come and the hype leaves this space and only a handful of cryptocurrencies are left, there's going to be so many ways that the bank, safe ways for the bank to have customers invest in crypto. And I think that's going to happen at some point in the future as well. U.S. government crypto wallet drained of 20 million in suspicious transfers. A United States government wallet tied to the Bitfinex exchange hack was drained Thursday via what appeared to be suspicious transactions. And again, when you see the government losing their crypto, that's why you don't keep your crypto on the exchanges. Get your crypto off the exchanges. I cannot stress this enough. Make sure that you hold your keys. When you have your keys, it's your crypto. On the exchanges, it's not your keys, so it's not your crypto. You got to keep your crypto safe. We're too close now. Trump considering ending all federal income taxes and replacing them with tariffs. If he does this, he will go down in American history as the greatest president since George Washington. Now, a lot of people said everything else would go up. Listen, if somebody wants to get rid of income tax, I'm all on board with that. I don't think anybody should be paying taxes, because you pay the taxes and then they take your money and they send it overseas. And, you know, then you see a hurricane wipe out North Carolina and the people are getting $750 that they have to pay back. How is that right? If he wants to get rid of federal income tax, I'm all for getting rid of federal income tax. Get rid of the IRS, and while you're at it, get rid of the Fed as well. The country would be so much better going forward. And you know, we are about to make a lot of money off of our crypto. Imagine not having to pay capital gains. Get rid of the capital gains also. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.